allegedly. It could be any number of things, but my first inclination is to say that this person is not a female.
Brittany Griner talking all that trash. We traded the merchant of death for your ass, and you're out there talking shit and saying racist shit on the freaking sideline, and it's disgusting. Okay, that's why nobody watches it, and it'll
No, they're watching it. No. The point is, Vinny, if Caitlin Clark goes and is playing, they're watching it.
This is the clip the WNBA wishes never existed. Not because it's fake, not because it's offensive, but because the second people saw it, the questions wouldn't stop. It's not from a game, not from an interview, not even from anything official. It's just Brittany Griner, shirt off, casually sinking shots by a pool. No jersey, no compression gear, no visible scars. At first glance, it looks like a relaxed moment. But the more it replays, the more people start looking closer, asking themselves, what's really going on? Wait, what exactly am I seeing? That wasn't just internet trolls talking. That's the exact reaction that made this clip explode online. It didn't spread because of conspiracy pages. It spread because regular people kept freezing the video, rewinding, and demanding answers. And the silence after it dropped? Louder than any official statement the league could have made. Timelines everywhere filled with the same viral footage, and the whispers turned into a roar. Sports commentators, massive podcasts, even mainstream news outlets, all locked in on the same wild question. What exactly are we looking at here? The WNBA had every chance to address it. They could have said it was old footage, brushed it off as out of context, or given any explanation at all. But they stayed completely silent. Not a single word. And when a league that never stops selling fairness, inclusion, and visibility suddenly refuses to talk about the most viral clip of the season, people don't just keep scrolling, they start digging hard. That silence didn't protect anyone, it just poured gas on the fire, and commentators wasted no time making their takes sharper, louder, and way more brutal. Pretty soon, the conversation wasn't just about gender anymore. Old clips resurfaced, like the one where Griner allegedly called Caitlin Clark a white girl on the court. Suddenly, the story wasn't dying down. It was multiplying. The silence wasn't shielding the league, it was exposing it. Across every corner of the internet, the message was the same. This wasn't just a viral moment anymore. This was turning into an investigation. Fans were breaking down frames, quoting timestamps, and calling out double standards the league kept pretending didn't exist. What started as just a weird little clip exploded into a full-on mystery. That poolside video didn't confirm anything concrete, but it cracked the door wide open. And when something feels off and the people in charge act like it never happened, you don't get clarity, you get chaos. But let's not act like this came out of nowhere. That clip might have been the match, but the powder keg was stacked long before. This didn't start by the pool. It started with a pattern. For years, before podcasts like PBD started dissecting Griner's frame, fans had been whispering the same thing. Something here just felt off. Not everyone dared to say it out loud, but plenty of fans felt it deep down. Griner didn't just dominate the paint, she owned it in a way that almost didn't feel real. Her size, her strength, the way she glided across the court, even the tone of her voice, it all stood out in a way no other player in the league ever did. Her mannerisms didn't match anybody else's either, and yet nobody in charge ever said a single word. The WNBA never addressed it, never explained it, never even nodded at the chatter that's been bouncing through forums and comment sections since her rookie year. And when fans finally started asking questions, they didn't get answers. They got dismissed, brushed off as trolls, written off as conspiracy nuts, or straight up labeled bigots. Those tags were enough to shut some people up. But one thing always kept the whispers alive: the silence at the top. And that silence got deafening when a moment that should have sparked outrage basically disappeared overnight. In one game, Griner was allegedly caught on camera directing what fans described as an inappropriate word toward Caitlin Clark. But here's the jaw-dropper. That clip never went viral. It vanished before people could even process what they saw. No league statement, no media coverage, nothing. The WNBA ignored it, and most of the press played along. But fans didn't forget, because, let's be honest, if the roles were flipped, If a white player had thrown that same word at a black player, it would have been front-page headlines, breaking news alerts, emergency press conferences, and a public apology before the game even ended. Instead, silence. And this wasn't some random one-off shock. This was gasoline dumped on a fire that had been burning quietly for years. Fans went full detective mode, scrubbing through old game footage, analyzing body language, comparing voice clips, slowing down replays frame by frame. Even clips that had nothing to do with the poolside video were dragged back into the spotlight. And the deeper people dug, the worse the league's silence looked. That's when whispers exploded into flat-out accusations. Because when one player keeps pushing physical limits, tossing out flagrant fouls, dropping controversial remarks, and somehow walks away untouched every single time, it doesn't feel like coincidence anymore. It feels like protection. And this wasn't just about one quote, one foul, or one clip. It was about the double standard. The real issue wasn't only Brittany Griner, it was the way the league handled Brittany Griner. Whenever fans raised their concerns, they weren't met with explanations. They got silence, denial, or the conversation erased completely. The league didn't just dodge questions, it tried to wipe the whole thing off the map. And that cover-up vibe only made everything 10 times louder. What seemed like one viral clip in isolation wasn't that at all. To frustrated fans, the poolside video wasn't the start. It was the breaking point. The final straw for people who had been watching, waiting, and wondering for years. It all started with a question nobody wanted to touch, and by the time that poolside clip hit the internet, the people asking were done staying quiet. That video became the spark, the exact moment low-key suspicion turned into a full-blown public storm. Brittany Griner, shirt off, casually draining shots on a backyard-style court. No bra, no visible surgery scars, nothing but her and a basketball. And suddenly millions were asking what they were really looking at. And here's the wildest part. The clip didn't come from a sports network, an official WNBA page, or some sketchy leak. It was just sitting out there, publicly posted like it was nothing. But the second it landed on TikTok, it went nuclear. People weren't whispering anymore. They were flat out speculating, some saying, hey, this really could have happened, while others insisted, Brittany Griner is not a female. This wasn't blurry security footage or AI fakery. It was crystal clear, and it had viewers frozen in disbelief. In the first few hours, it was pure shock. Comment sections flooded with stunned reactions, disbelief spreading faster than wildfire. But then came the next wave. The edits, the memes, the slow-motion breakdowns, the frame-by-frame replays. What started as a jaw-drop moment turned into a digital dissection, and the more people replayed it, the less it felt like coincidence. And the silence? That only cranked the chaos higher. Everyone expected something. A league statement, a quick medical clarification, even a PR spin just to cool it down. But nothing came. Not from the WNBA, not from Griner, not even from the media voices who normally jump on any drama tied to the league. The silence became its own scandal. No response, nothing. And in today's world, that's the single worst play a league can make. The internet doesn't sit around waiting for a press release. It takes silence and runs wild with it. By the very next day, fans were stacking receipts, digging up testosterone policies from the NCAA, pointing to gender eligibility rules from the Olympics, and blasting the fact that the WNBA has none of that in place. That's when speculation flipped into flat-out accusations. Even the people who didn't fully buy into the claims were asking the same thing. If there's nothing to hide, why stay quiet? What could have been brushed off as a weird but explainable clip spiraled into a full-blown scandal. Because that silence didn't just allow the conversation, it gave the wildest version of the conversation space to grow. Suddenly, this wasn't just about Brittany Griner anymore.
They're friends that they were there. Maybe she's concerned that if she comes out and says it's one thing, there might be proof that it was something else. We don't know because she's not speaking to it, which is...
Respectfully. Brittany Griner was in a Russian prison. You would think that somebody who is now free, back in America on home soil, would not have too much to complain about.
It was about the WNBA dodging accountability. That poolside clip? It wasn't just a moment. It was the match, and everything after it turned into the fire. But here's the twist. That video wasn't the first red flag. It was just the one too big to bury. The truth fans started piecing together was simple. The WNBA has been protecting Brittany Griner for years, not just shielding her from questions, but from accountability itself. And once people started looking back, the pattern was impossible to ignore. Let's start with her behavior on the court. Physicality is part of the game, sure. But the things Griner has gotten away with, they weren't just physical. They were reckless, dangerous, and somehow always left unpunished. Take the elbow during a regular season game. Griner straight up smashed Aaliyah Boston in the throat. This wasn't some clumsy accident. No apology, no ejection, no fine, nothing. Boston hit the hardwood, the crowd gasped, and the league acted like it never even happened. Then came the showdown everyone was waiting for, the Caitlin Clark game. Cameras caught Griner clearly mouthing "white girl" toward Clark after a basket. And the fallout? Zero. No fine, no suspension, not even a basic statement from the league. Total silence. And the media? Just as complicit, brushing it off like it was nothing. But imagine if the roles were flipped. Imagine Clark saying that to Griner. She'd be dragged off the court, hit with fines, sponsors bailing, her entire reputation torched in a single night. The double standard couldn't be louder. Griner shielded at every turn. And it doesn't stop there. Stack on the no calls, the reckless fouls, the missed reviews. Caitlin Clark got blindsided by Kennedy Carter with a shoulder check. And here's the crazy part. It happened during a dead ball. No play, no basketball reason, just a cheap shot designed to send a message. And Clark? She handled it like a vet. Popped right back up, brushed it off, no drama, no theatrics, just kept hooping like the pro she is. Calm, composed, and ready for whatever came next. At first, the league stayed silent, but after the internet exploded with outrage, they quietly upgraded Kennedy Carter's hit to a flagrant. Now line that up next to Brittany Griner. She threw a full-on elbow to Aaliyah Boston's throat, caught crystal clear on camera with intent, and Boston dropped instantly. The refs swallowed their whistles, and the league didn't say a word. No flagrant, no fine, no accountability, nothing. So what does that tell fans? When Caitlin Clark gets body checked, the league only reacts because the internet forces their hand. But when Griner dishes out an elbow that could have been dangerous, silence. When it comes to Griner, it's like she's running on her own rule book. And that silence shielding her, it doesn't just protect Griner. It punishes everyone else. It tells the rest of the league the rules don't apply evenly. Silence doesn't just cover her, it empowers her. And when fans and reporters started pressing for answers, demanding to know why nothing was said, the WNBA's response was as predictable as ever. Absolute silence. By this point, the silence wasn't just frustrating, it was flat out insulting. Fans weren't politely asking anymore. They were demanding accountability. And the league still kept its lips sealed. No pressers, no statements, no questions from the media. Just blackout mode. And in that void, the narrative spun out of control. Because here's the real kicker. The WNBA didn't just protect Brittany Griner from scrutiny, they exposed themselves in the process. Every skipped fine, every ignored foul, every suspension that never came. It all built the image of a league bending its own rules for one player. And when that poolside clip dropped, that image didn't just stick online, it exploded into the mainstream. This wasn't just about basketball anymore. Fans started stacking it up against NCAA testosterone policies, Olympic eligibility rules, and demanding to know why the WNBA had zero transparency. And the longer the league stayed quiet, the bigger the storm grew. Commentators jumped in, podcasters dissected the footage frame by frame, journalists circled the story, and fans filled the gaps with their own theories. What could have been a small controversy turned into a full-blown credibility crisis. Suddenly, it wasn't just Griner under the microscope, it was the league itself. The silence wasn't shielding them, it was burning them alive in the court of public opinion. Then Riley Gaines, former NCAA swimmer and outspoken women's sports advocate, resurfaced the alleged moment where Griner mouthed "white girl" at Caitlin Clark. That clip barely made noise the first time it popped up, but once the controversy caught fire, it spread everywhere. And still, no consequences. Just another ugly moment the league refused to touch. Then came the PBD podcast, one of the fastest-growing political shows in the country, and they did not hold back. That single viral segment dragged the entire WNBA into a national political firestorm. Suddenly, this wasn't about basketball anymore. It was about race, gender, and accountability. And now even people who had never watched a WNBA game in their lives were all asking the same explosive question: is Brittany Griner even supposed to be in the league? And through all of it, silence. No official comment, no interviews, no clarification from anyone at the top. Nothing. And that silence didn't cool things down. It threw gasoline straight on the fire. Because when ESPN, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and some of the biggest podcasts in the country are all locked in on the same 10-second clip, and the league still won't speak, that's not protecting a player. That's torching your own credibility. By this point, the poolside video had been seen by millions, dissected from every angle, and turned into a scandal way too big to ignore. The reactions were loud, the quotes were brutal, and the silence absolutely deafening. So fans decided to do what the media wouldn't: dig into the WNBA's gender eligibility rules. And what did they uncover? Nothing. Just a lazy assumption that if you got drafted, you must have been eligible. But eligible by what standard? The Olympics have clear rules. The NCAA has detailed policies. International federations have entire departments dedicated to these issues. But the WNBA? Nothing. No published process, no appeal system. Not even clarity on who would handle a protest if it ever came up. That's when the comparisons hit hard. Olympic runners disqualified over testosterone levels. College swimmers pulled out of events because of hormone testing. Athletes across different sports losing medals, scholarships, and careers over policies. But Brittany Griner? Drafted, celebrated, and placed at the very front of the league without a single question asked. Why is the WNBA the only major league with zero transparency on this? The conclusion fans came to was brutal, but simple, because they never planned on needing one. The league wanted to sell an image: inclusion, visibility, empowerment. So instead of building real infrastructure, it leaned on branding and slogans. And for years, that smoke and mirrors routine worked. But the second that poolside clip hit, the missing rules weren't just an oversight anymore. They became the story. The WNBA can't explain what's happening now because it never built a framework that would even allow it to. And now that the public is demanding answers, the league has nowhere to point. Because when there are no rules, there's no way to even argue they weren't broken. The WNBA keeps saying it wants growth. That's the message in every press conference. Bigger arenas, more sponsors, national TV deals, respect on the same level as the NBA. And for the first time in years, they were actually close to pulling it off. Fans were tuning in like never before. Highlights were going viral, jerseys were finally moving, and stars like Caitlin Clark were pulling the league into a brand new spotlight. But right in the middle of its biggest moment ever, the WNBA is losing the one thing it can't afford to lose: credibility. Because here's the truth: you can't build trust while dodging transparency. You can't preach equality while carving out exceptions, and you can't demand respect while shielding one player from accountability. The WNBA branded itself as the league of activism, fairness, and being bigger than basketball. But when it comes to Brittany Griner, all of that branding collapses. They looked the other way when she drilled Aaliyah Boston in the throat with an elbow. They stayed silent when she allegedly mouthed "white girl" at Caitlin Clark. They ignored the poolside clip, the podcast, the memes, the headlines, the firestorm. They ignored it all. And now, with the whole world watching, they actually expect new fans and lifelong supporters to believe this is a serious league? Well, let's stack it up against what serious leagues really do when their credibility is on the line. The NCAA suspends athletes over a single social media post. The NBA slaps players with fines for flopping too hard. The Olympics strip medals over hormone levels, even when the entire world screams in protest. International sports bodies debate these issues openly, taking the heat no matter how messy it gets. But the WNBA? They don't even acknowledge the questions. Not when fans ask, not when journalists press, not even when entire political shows dedicate full segments to it. At this point, it's not just bad PR, it's institutional failure. Because when a league shields one player at all costs, ignores fouls, silences critics, dodges policy, and erases controversy, it isn't building a foundation, it's building a lie. This whole storm could have been contained early. All the WNBA had to do was step up, address the clip, lay out the rules, and show transparency. Instead, they ducked. And by ducking, they handed the entire narrative over to everyone else. Podcasters, pundits, political commentators, and furious fans. Everyone's controlling the story. Except the league itself. The WNBA keeps demanding respect for the game. But what game are people even watching? One where blatant fouls vanish, where slurs slide by, where the most protected player can't even be questioned. They're begging for trust while burying the truth. And in 2025, that's impossible. The real question isn't about Brittany Griner anymore. It's whether the WNBA has already lost the one thing it can't live without: credibility. The WNBA loves to talk about growth. More fans packing arenas, more sponsors on jerseys, higher ratings, louder support, real respect. They claim they want to stand shoulder to shoulder with the NBA, proving women's basketball deserves the same stage, the same spotlight, the same power. And on paper, it looks good. Slick graphics, glossy campaigns, polished speeches. But here's the reality. You can't build trust while hiding. You can't preach equality while carving out exceptions for one player. You can't demand respect while refusing to even explain what fans are supposed to be respecting. This league built its entire image on justice, empowerment, and being bigger than basketball. Yet its most visible star is now at the center of the biggest controversy women's sports has ever seen. And the league still won't say a word, not after the poolside clip, not after the elbow to Aaliyah Boston, not after the white girl moment with Caitlin Clark, not after millions of fans stopped, rewound, and demanded, "What is going on here?" Still, silence. But that silence doesn't shield Brittany Griner. It doesn't protect the WNBA, and it sure doesn't protect the game. Fans aren't clueless. They can handle truth, they can handle nuance. But what they won't ever accept is being lied to. And when a league refuses to be straight with its own audience, it's not just risking backlash, it's gambling with total irrelevance. You can't beg the world to watch us and then sprint for cover the second people actually start watching. The WNBA finally got what it wanted. The spotlight, the buzz, the eyes of the sports world glued to them. But when the lights came on, they had no idea what truth they were standing next to. And now, every single person is watching. Make sure to like, drop a comment, hit subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to see it. And I'll catch you on the next one.